The first bell echoed through the corridors of Crestwood High, sharp and metallic, slicing through the morning chatter of students who rushed past one another like streams of noise and color. It was the start of a new week, but for the seniors of Crestwood, it was just another day of hierarchy, reputation, and cruel entertainment. They were the kings and queens of this building, or at least, that's what they thought. None of them knew that their reign of arrogance was about to crumble the moment a quiet transfer student walked through those glass doors. Her name was Amara Cole, 17 years old, moved from Atlanta to Crestwood City after her mother's job transferred. She was tall, athletic, with deep brown skin that glowed against her white hoodie and simple jeans. Her hair was braided back neatly, eyes sharp and observant, taking in every face with silent confidence. But to most of Crestwood High, she was just the new black girl. And sadly, in that school, that label alone made her a target. As Amara walked into her first class, whispers started immediately. The school had a cruel reputation, one ruled by a small but powerful group. Lexi Jordan, the blonde cheer captain with a voice like sugar and venom, her boyfriend, Ryan Clark, the star basketball forward, and two of their sidekicks, Paige and Connor. They had one rule: the new kid always had to be tested. It started small. Lexi looked Amara up and down when she walked in late to homeroom, her smirk curling with calculated cruelty. "Oh, look," she whispered loudly enough for the room to hear. New girl didn't read the dress code. Hoodie and sneakers, how athletic. The class laughed. Amara didn't react. She sat down, opened her notebook, and ignored them, but her silence only fed their urge to provoke. At lunch she sat alone, earbuds in, eating quietly while groups of students shot glances at her. Some pitied her. Others were too afraid to sit beside her, afraid of what Lexi's group would say. Ryan passed by their table, dropping his soda can on her tray like an accident. "Oops," he muttered, his smirk betraying any sincerity. Lexi giggled, filming it on her phone. "Welcome to Crestwood, sweetheart," she said mockingly. Amara didn't look up. She simply wiped the tray, got up, and left without a word. The cafeteria murmured. For some, that silence meant weakness. But if they'd seen her eyes for even a second, calm, steady, unreadable, they might have realized it wasn't fear. It was restraint. That night, Amara returned home to a small apartment her mother had just unpacked. Boxes were still half open. A framed picture of Amara in a karat uniform sat on the kitchen counter. She looked at it for a moment. Her father's face, smiling proudly, flashed in her mind. He'd been a decorated military hand-to-hand instructor before his passing. He'd trained her since she was 5, not just in combat but in control. "Strength isn't about striking first," he used to say. "It's about knowing when not to." Those words echoed now as she took a deep breath and shadowboxed lightly in the living room. The speed and precision of her movements told everything about her background. Disciplined, fierce, trained. She could break bones with a flick if she wanted, but she didn't want that, not yet. The next day was worse. Lexi and her group began spreading rumors that Amara was violent, that she'd been kicked out of her last school for fighting. It wasn't true. She'd left because her mother's new job required relocation. But in Crestwood, truth didn't matter. Perception did, and soon, every hallway she walked through carried murmurs. "That's her. Heard she hit someone. She's crazy." They didn't realize the irony. They were the ones trying to provoke a monster they didn't understand. By Thursday, the tension had reached boiling point. Ryan and Connor waited near her locker after gym class. The hallway was almost empty. Lexi stood nearby, phone out, pretending to scroll but ready to film. Paige giggled quietly, whispering, "This is gonna be gold." Ryan leaned against the locker beside hers. "You think you're too good for us, huh?" Amara didn't respond. She changed her shoes, zipped her bag, and turned to leave. Connor stepped in front of her. "Hey, we're talking to you." She sighed quietly, then looked at them. "Move." Her tone was calm, too calm. Ryan laughed. "Or what?" He stepped closer, chest puffed. The air grew heavy. The echo of distant footsteps faded as the last few students disappeared down the hall. Then, without warning, Connor shoved her shoulder hard. Her bag slipped off. "Come on, tough girl, do something." Lexi's camera caught every second. Amara froze, not out of fear but calculation. Her father's words whispered again in her memory. But Ryan wasn't patient. In a flash of arrogance, he brought his knee up, fast, striking her square in the face. The sound echoed like a crack. Her head snapped back, her braid whipping through the air. Paige gasped, covering her mouth. "Oh my God, you actually..." But before she finished, the silence became electric. Amara didn't fall. Her face lifted slowly, blood running from the corner of her lip. But her eyes, those eyes, turned from calm to terrifyingly cold. Ryan stepped back instinctively. "You," he stammered but didn't finish. The shift in her stance was almost imperceptible. Her foot slid back, her shoulders squared, and her breathing slowed. Every muscle seemed to realign into purpose. "You shouldn't have done that," she said quietly. The next few seconds happened too fast for Lexi's phone to capture clearly. Amara moved like lightning. Her elbow snapped upward into Ryan's chin, sending him reeling back against the lockers. Before Connor could react, her legs spun in a clean archy, a spinning back kick that slammed into his ribs so hard he dropped instantly, wheezing. Ryan tried to grab her, but she caught his arm mid-motion, twisted it, and dropped him with a judo sweep so clean it looked choreographed. The phone clattered to the floor. Lexi screamed, stepping back in shock as Ryan groaned on the ground, holding his arm. Paige froze in horror. Amara looked down at them, eyes blazing. "Next time you touch someone weaker than you," she said, her voice steady and lethal, "remember this feeling." Teachers came running seconds later, drawn by the noise. Amara stepped back, hands raised, calm again. Lexi, trembling, tried to spin the story immediately. She attacked them? She just... But the security camera above the hallway told a different truth. The footage showed Ryan kneeing her first. Within an hour, the principal's office buzzed with chaos. Ryan was suspended, Connor sent home with fractured ribs, and Lexi's video confiscated as evidence. Rumors spread faster than wildfire. The new black girl had just dropped the two toughest boys in school like rag dolls. By the end of the day, she wasn't whispered about as violent. She was whispered about as something else. Dangerous. Untouchable. Amara sat in the nurse's office, ice pack on her lip, staring out the window. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat, she just breathed. The nurse asked softly if she was okay. Amara nodded. "I'm fine." But inside, she wasn't. Not because of the fight. She'd been in worse. But because she knew it wasn't over. People like Lexi didn't accept defeat easily. The humiliation, the loss of control, it would eat at her. And Amara could already feel the storm brewing beneath the silence of the school halls. The bullies wouldn't stop. Not yet. But this time they'd be more desperate. More dangerous. And next time, Amara knew, they'd come not just for revenge but to destroy her reputation entirely. As the sun set behind Crestwood High, Amara walked out of the building, her hoodie pulled up. Every student who saw her stepped aside. No one dared to make eye contact. Some looked in awe, others in fear. But Amara didn't care. She didn't want attention, she wanted peace. Yet deep inside, something told her peace wasn't what fate had planned. Lexi and her broken-hearted boyfriend wouldn't forget what happened. And Amara knew. The next battle wouldn't be physical. It would be psychological. And this time she'd have to fight not only for herself, but for her truth. As she turned the corner, her reflection caught in a trophy case. The same hall where her father's words whispered again. "Control your power before it controls you." She exhaled slowly, gripping the strap of her bag, whispering under her breath, "I'm trying, Dad, but they won't let me." The bell tower chimed faintly in the distance. Chapter 1 of her new life at Crestwood High had begun. Not as a victim, but as a storm no one saw coming.